Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we are covering 4 lists for the Tyranids. These are all tournament-winning lists from events that were 32 players or more, so considered a GT of sorts. We'll dive into everything they brought, the high fleet, the units they brought, kind of think about how they played them, and kind of wrap it all up in a conclusion. So if that all sounds good, do like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. And if you want to help support us just a little bit more, do consider becoming a member or check out our Etsy shop down below. Now, with all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video. So we're just going to dive into the list one after another. Like I said, we have 4 of them. And this first one is coming from a first place result at the Kansas City Summer Slaughter. This was a 32 player event. This player was John Indelicate. Interesting last name. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He went 5-1, so no one went undefeated at the tournament. Everyone went 5-1, or the top players went 5-1, and he had the most points. He was playing Leviathan with the Unstoppable Swarm adaptation trait, not the standard one we typically see. But when we look at the list, we'll kind of see why. So he brought a Neurothrope with the Direct Guidance Warlord trait, which I really like that one on him. He brought another Neurothrope with the Neuroparasite Psychic Scream Psychic powers. Oh, also the first one had Catalyst and Onslaught, so his more important Neurothrope. He brought a Turvagon with Adrenal Glands, Monstrous Scything Talons, the Maw Claws of Thyrax, and Heightened Senses for a Warlord trait on there. Very powerful combination of rerolls and hitting power on Turvagon like that. In a no Force Org slot, he is bringing a Tyranid Prime with a Lash Whip Bone Sword and Venom Cannon. So, big solid chunk of HQs. I'm assuming with these he had either the Turvagon or one of the Neurothropes were casting a Psychic Secondary, while the one with Direct Guidance, Catalyst Onslaught was more of a support, a hide in the back type of one, and then the Turvagon just went and did his thing. Accompanying this, he had 5 troop choices. The first one, 10 Gargoyles, great for just getting out, doing some initial actions, claiming initial objectives, like the speed and obsec there. A group of 30 Termagants, obviously a great choice to go with that Turvagon. And then the big kicker here, 3 groups of Tyranid Warriors, 3 groups of 9 Tyranid Warriors with Death Spitters, dual Bone Swords, 3 Venom Cannons in each, Flesh Hooks in each of them, and Adrenal Glands. I mean, that right there takes up the bulk of his army, those troop choices right there. He will round it out with 3 Zoanthropes because those are important to have, and 3 Biovores. Now the Biovores, I might do a video on these guys later because they are slowly becoming more and more used, and also I've been trying them out and they're a lot of fun. So I might do a video on the Biovores, but they're just a great troll of a unit, dropping Spore Mines, move blocking your opponent, allowing this absolute bulk of an army to work its way up the board. Obviously his point unit for the Warriors, he's gonna, I'm guessing, again, I don't know how I would probably play this list, is have my one frontline unit of Warriors, and they would be given Catalyst, Onslaught, Direct Guidance, the Tyranid Prime buffs, all of the buffs would go on that unit, and they would go forward and shoot, charge, take the brunt of the enemy, and as soon as they get worn down to a couple models, I would probably pull them back, go stick them on an objective, and then repeat with the next unit. Now with this unit being so durable, your opponent probably can't deal with them in one turn unless they dedicate everything. So it's really, I mean, Tyranid Warriors in Leviathan like this are just absolutely nasty. But that is essentially the list. I'm assuming, yeah, his list was a Psychic Secondary. Maybe he did one for, probably did like a Banners or something. And maybe a Killy one. I'm wondering what he would do for the third one. I could potentially see Cranial Feasting working here, while the Turvagon, the Prime, and the Warriors all like to kill things in melee. So maybe they do that, but it is an interesting list. I said this right away when the Codex came out. If someone has 27 Warriors, oh boy, that's gonna be quite a list, and we're seeing it here. So congratulations, John, on your 5-1 result and first place, more importantly. Next up, we have another first place finish. Like I said, this is from the Battle in the Bush GT. This player is Michael Duke. Congratulations. You went 5-0 at a 72 player event. He was running a Hive Fleet Leviathan with the standard adaptive trait, and this list was a battalion plus a patrol. So he's got a Foot Tyrant with the Lashwood Bone Sword, Heavy Venom Cannon, the Shard Gullet, and the perfectly adapted Warlord trait. Great support unit there. Neurothrope, because you got to have the Neurothropes, and a Flyrant with Adrenal Glands, Lashwood Bone Sword, Reaper of Obliterax. So he's got a support Tyrant and a Killy Hive Tyrant, which means his Warlord is going to be the Foot Tyrant, allowing the Flyrant to go up there, cause havoc, kill things, and not worry about it dying and losing your Warlord, your Synaptic Imperatives, and all of those things. His troop choices, much more tame compared to the last list, were two groups of 10 Gargoyles, a group of 10 Termagants, and then 3 Warriors with Death Spitters and Dual Bone Swords. So really, those are all just objective grabbing units for the most part. He probably would have liked to have Hormagaunts in there instead of Termagants, but I don't think he really had the points anywhere to cut down to make room for Hormagaunts. But just objective grabbers, they're good there. Tyrant Guard, to accompany those Hive Tyrants, you're going to need those. 3 Neurothropes, obviously, you know, they're good. They're great psychic, great smiting potential, and that Synaptic Imperative that they give off is great. As you'll see the later units he has. He's got 2 Biovores. Again, like I said, Biovores they're getting sneaky good. They're sneaky good. At least a unit of 2 of them is something I'm going to be looking to incorporate into my list. 2 Exocrines, 1 with the Voracious Ammunition. So this is where having the Zoanthropes are going to come in, as well as 2 Harpies with Stranglethorn Cannons. Not Heavy Venom, but Stranglethorn Cannons, Synaptic Enhancement, and Dermic Symbiosis. One on each of them, obviously. So this is a very shooty Leviathan list. I can see it playing as the Flyrant just patrols the midboard, killing threats off of the center objectives. The Exocrines just post up and gun things down while the Harpies just terrorize your opponent's backline. Interesting for the Stranglethorn Cannons. I can see it because he's got Exocrines and a Foot Tyrant with the Shard Gullet. He doesn't need the Heavy Venom Cannons, and he's actually lacking some anti-infantry shooting. So the Stranglethorn Cannons are a great choice there to go fly around and pick off simple Marine squads sitting on back objectives and things like that. So a shooty Leviathan list. Very nasty, and yeah, congratulations, Michael. This is a terrifying list, I would have to say. List number 3. Again, first place at the Trash Ticks GT. This player is Will Travado. So congratulations, Will. 5-0 at a 50-player event. He was playing Leviathan again with that Unstoppable Swarm trait. So good there. And his HQs in his army a little bit different, still common, but a little bit different. We got a Broodlord in there, and I do like the Broodlord a lot for being able to forward deploy and then easily get in range to do things like Psychic Ritual or Mental Interrogation. Having that extra forward deploy means you're pretty much going to be in range of a character turn 1. So I do like the Broodlord there as an option. The Neurothrope with the Resonance Barb and Direct Guidance. Again, as a more buffing and reliable Psyker, he's probably the one going to be who's the Warlord. And then you have the Flyrant with the Lashwood Bone Sword, Reaper of Obliterax, Adrenal Glands, and Adaptive Biology for the Feel No Pain. Pretty common, but I do like the inclusion of a Broodlord there. We got two groups of Gargoyles. Again, objective grabbing. A unit of 10 Termagants, objective grabbing. And then 2 blocks of 9 Warriors with Death Spitters, Dual Bone Swords, 2 Venom Cannons in each squad, and then Flesh Hooks and Adrenal Glands as well. It's common. It's so good, it's hard not to pass it up when you're playing competitively. So that is the way that one's running. 3 Tyrant Guard to assist the Flagrant probably on the early turns. And mid turns if he hangs around that long. 3 Zoanthropes because you gotta have them. 3 Venomthropes to amp up the durability of those warriors most likely. And then we have 2 Harpies with heavy venom cannons. One of them is synaptically enhanced, so that if they're sticking together, which they probably will be, allow the heavy venom cannon, allow the Harpy to give off both Harpies the 4-up invuln save from the turn with the Zoanthropes. I do like that one. Otherwise, there's not much that they're going to be benefiting from, but they're just 2 heavy venom cannons, Harpies. You see them so much, they're still oh so good. Congratulations, Will Travato. I'm assuming your secondaries was probably like a banners. Maybe you played with the spore nodes with that many gargoyles, but probably a banners. Psychic one, obviously, and then maybe one that targeted your opponent a bit much. So that's how I see that list running. So congratulations again, and we'll move on to the last list with some variety, thankfully. Not that those other Leviathan lists weren't different in amongst themselves, but we have a Kraken player. So I saw this one and I had to, definitely see how they were running. There is Only War GT. This is by Tyler Hepler, playing High Fleet Kraken with the adaptive trait, so D3 plus 3 for your advance roll instead of D6. It's a 32-player event, and he went 5-0. So the list is a Neurothrope with the Resonance Barb and Synaptic Tendrils. That's one of my favorite loadouts, so I like it. The Flagrant has Adrenal Gland, Slash with Bone Sword, Reaper of Obliterax, and Adaptive Biology. Shocker there. 10 Gargoyles, 2 groups of 3 Warriors with Death Spitters and Dual Bone Swords. We got 2 Pyrovores, and then 2 units of 1 Pyrovore. So I'm guessing probably the lone Pyrovores were sitting on the flanks, maybe outflanking or strategic reserve. But the mobility of the adaptive trait with Kraken really gives these guys the movement to zip up the board, cause a decent amount of damage, and just be an annoyance for your opponent to dig out if they can set them in cover. And then we have 3 units of 3 Zoanthropes. So again, he is playing full-on Psychic there. The adaptive trait allows these Zoanthropes to have a 9, 10, 11-ish inch average movement to turn, and then being able to cast off those smites. Very powerful there. Yeah, all of them going to be smiting a turn. Doesn't matter if the smites are going to be on a 5 and a 6 and a 7 when you get +3 to cast, and he's going to be giving one of those units a 3d6 to get that off. Most of them are going to be super smiting anyway. So yeah, that's a cool variation. Mortal Wounds for days with those ones. He then does have a Parasite of Mortrex with the Gestation Sac and Alien Cunning. So making him an OBSEC model, he can, in one turn, spit out a unit of Ripper Swarms to allow either to stay an objective. Maybe he was playing Engage in All Fronts with that kind of mobility. With the 3 Zoanthropes, all you need is at least 1 remaining Zoanthrope to tow into each table edge, or the opposite table edge, and then you have the Parasite to do their thing. So Engage in All Fronts, maybe he's trying behind enemy lines with the Gestation Sac. 2x4 Raveners with Rending Claws and Death Spitters. Auto include in Kraken, that's for sure. And then rounding it up with a little bit of fire support, 2 Exocrines, 1 with Thermic Symbiosis, 1 with Voracious Ammunition. So Mortal Wounds for days on this list. I really do like the 9 Zoanthrope moving around, dishing out smites like crazy. I mean, Zoanthropes seem very harmless at first when you look at them, but man, the mortal wound potential they can do. I was just playing Death Guard, and Mortarion got a little too close to my Psychic bubbles, and my Zoanthropes dished out 8 mortal wounds to him or something like that. And that's a lot of damage to key models. With the speed, you can position their smites in the right spot. So I do like this list. Not when I initially envisioned a Kraken list, but I do really like it. So congratulations, Tyler. Maybe you'll have to take a page out of your book and start bringing even more Zoanthropes in the Kraken list. Very fun indeed. So that's it. Those are the 4 lists. I just talk about it. Obviously, we can see this time and time again that High Fleet Leviathan is the most competitive. Yes, you can make Behemoth work. Yes, you can make Jormungandr work. Being access to the secondary traits they have, the adaptive traits they have to give your monsters OBSEC, that can go a long way in making a competitive Tyranid list. Kraken also has potential with the counter, the speed they have, the counter to Armor of Contempt. Ravners are just oh so good in Kraken. So those 3 obviously have play in a competitive level, but it's more tactical, I'd say, to play those than to just slap down, unkillable warriors like Leviathan can do. Nothing against the players who are playing Leviathan or anyone who plays Leviathan. It's good, and you should take advantage of the good things in your army and play them when you want to win. That's what tournament play is all about. So absolutely not knocking them. But Tyranid warriors are toughness 5, 3 wounds, 4 up save. On paper, for what their point cost, what their 30 points model, that's not, that's good, but that's not great. That's not like insane. Now 25 points, yeah, they're pretty good for 25 points. But now that they're 30 points, they're good, they're not great. It's when you stack them into Leviathan. Now they can only be wounded on 4s. Now they can have one unit could have a 5-up invuln all game round, basically. You can give them 5-up feel no pain. You can use the strat for -1 damage. You can put Venom Thropes by them for -1 to hit. Just an insane amount of durability these guys have. So yeah, I think we know that Leviathan, let me know what you guys think. I think Leviathan is the issue right now with the Tyranids. It's not the rest. It's not, yes, the data sheets are powerful. Yes, some of the high fleets are powerful, but it's really Leviathan that is oh so powerful. If they nerfed Leviathan to being only a 3-up transhuman, I could see the win rate dropping, I don't say dramatically, but a lot. If they just made it so, okay, transhuman on Leviathan is only 3-ups now, and 2-ups on little models or non-synapse models, whatever the case may be. That would go a long way to making Leviathan a little bit more toned up. Because I don't want to see just an endless amount of Leviathan lists. Here's my Leviathan list. Here's all my warriors. Go at it. It's good. It's fun. I honestly have yet to play with it just because I don't want to. Because I know it's good. I want to try other things. But I could see in the coming month or so, when the next data slate comes out, that might be a key change that comes up. But overall, with the way these lists, yes, 3 Leviathan and 1 Kraken, but there was variety in all of these lists, and that's why I picked the ones I did. You had a variety of HQs. You obviously had your Reaper Tyrants in almost all of them. You had a Foot Tyrant, which is, nice to see. You had the Turvagon showing up. You had the Broodlord showing up. You obviously had a Neurothrope, and you had the Tyranid Prime all showing up. So showing that pretty much all of the HQs are still competitive. Great. Leviathan Warriors, yes, good. And I do like to see Kraken. So let me know what you guys think. Would changing the transhuman portion of Leviathan to being a 3-up versus a 4-up be game-changing for the Tyranids? Would it bring down their win ratios a little bit? I don't want to be wielding this overpowered codex just by one rule, causing so much struggle for certain armies, but that's what I got. I'll quit the rambling here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.